Grill Sergeant here. What's going on, Grill Billies? Today we're comparing these two heavyweight vertical smoker champions in a head-to-head death match. Loser gets sold on eBay. So let's start the show. Fight! Guys, I was only kidding about the eBay part, but before we dive in, if you're new to this channel, I'd ask that you hit the subscribe button and you hit the notification button because we're going to be doing tons of cooks still on this. Another thing I want to point out is the last few videos I posted a link to a new Facebook group that I just started, and that group on Facebook for, pellet owners, it is blowing up and it is almost like a small awesome barbecue community. So I'm now seeing people post pictures of their new pit bosses and what they're cooking and what times and temperatures, and it is just so cool to see this little barbecue community here growing. I will post a link in the description so you can check that out, but man, oh man, that is definitely awesome. So now let's dive in and check these smokers out. We are going to be looking at them side by side and seeing their strengths and their weaknesses. So if you're on the fence, either if you're looking at the Pro Series or if you're looking at the Platinum Series, hopefully this video is going to help you point in the right direction. As it stands, I've had this Pro Series 4 for about a year. This has given me zero issues. I love this smoker. The smoker to my left is the Pit Boss Brunswick that just came out, and I am impressed, like really impressed. Like, this smoker is sweet. We're gonna see if she can outlast the 1 year mark of giving me no issues. Well, hey, let's get started and look at the features. So the first thing we're gonna do is measure size. So let me get a tape measure here. Oh, yeah, that's actually another cool feature. I mean, come on, a little storage space for probes and whatnot. Pretty forward thinking. So let's measure, seeing how tall they stand. Onto this part, it stands about 4 feet tall. And then on this one, it's standing 4.5 feet tall. So this stands about 6 inches taller. As far as width goes, the new Brunswick is 24 inches wide, where the Pro Series 4 is coming in at 22 inches wide. Depth from the back of the hopper to the front, we have 20 inches. And on the Brunswick, we have 22. So let me ask you a question right now. Which smoker do you think can hold more meat? Now, my guess, just looking at the two, I would say, man, this one, obviously it's bigger. But there's a caveat there. Let's open this one up. And let's open this bad boy up, and you'll notice on the Pro Series 4, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, you got 5 racks in here. And on the Brunswick, you have 1, 2, 3, you got 4 racks on here. So the Brunswick has about 1,200 square inches of cooking space, whereas the Pro Series 4 has about 1,400 square inches of cooking space. So the Pro Series 4 actually beats the Brunswick just looking at the square inch of cooking space by 200. So you would say off the bat, well, hey, Pro Series 4 automatically wins, correct? Well, that's up to you. It depends on what you're gonna be smoking. What I found with the Pro Series 4, if I'm putting a brisket in, sometimes a full packer brisket can exceed 20 inches in length. But inside my cabinet on here, I have about 20 inches to work with. With the Brunswick, I have over 22 inches to work with. Your racks in here are bigger than your racks in here. Now, true, you have more racks in here, but each rack you basically have about 4 inches of space in between the racks, whereas on the Brunswick you have about 6 to 7 inches of space in between. So if you're doing, if I'm on here and I'm doing, pork shoulders, I have to take a rack out of here to fit a pork shoulder that's going to exceed the 5-6 inches. Well, now you're cutting down on that space. Whereas on here, I don't even need to take out the racks. So it's kind of up onto you. So it is kind of deceived when you see, well, hey, this one has more square inches of cooking space. You also want to take into account that these racks are actually spaced closer together than the racks in here. All right, for this one, I'm going to go handheld on this one. It's going to be easier to go back and forth. So let's flip her around So the first thing I want to point out is you have your top stack here, and that's pretty much the length of the stack. But then on the Brunswick, your top stack, even though it looks the same, it actually stops right down here. So you have about an extra 5-6 inches, and there is insulation basically on the inside here. So it's insulated. Now, does it help? I don't know yet, but I did think that was pretty cool. All right, now we're looking at the backside, and they're both similar that the back hopper basically flips up. Only difference is the Pro Series 4 hopper holds 45 pounds worth of pellets. You have a glass sight here, but the Brunswick holds 98 pounds of pellets. That's insane. Now from the back side here, you have your little latch system, and that is the same on the Pro Series 4. The only thing different from these two is what you're going to notice is on the Brunswick, you do have a pull-out grease tray, and that's because the inside of the Brunswick on how it traps its grease is night and day different from the Pro Series 4. All right, here's how the Pro Series 4 works. You have your control panel here, you have your burn pot, and then your burn pot cover right here. Underneath here is your water pan, and then you have your rack systems right here. Now on the Brunswick, what's different is your control panel is actually on the top. And a cool feature is underneath the control panel, basically you have a little rack. I mean, it's not like a big storage space, but it's enough to, hold your probes or maybe a barbecue journal or something up here. That's pretty cool. I like that feature. Now, the only other differences between the controllers is this one actually does do the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi for using the app, whereas that one is basically, you just turn it on. But Pit Boss just released a new controller, and I'll put a link in there so you can see it out. But if you already have the Pro Series 4 and you want to upgrade to the Wi-Fi Bluetooth technology, they actually just came out with new controllers you buy, and I think they're about the $150 range. Your controller up here, and then you have your burn pot right here, and it's covered and it's bolted in. And at first, I didn't like that because for me, I like to vacuum out my burn pot, and now you're basically giving me no access to my burn pot. And at first, I was kind of, worried, upset. I'm like, well, how do I clean out the burn pot? Even in the instruction manual, it says to, clean out the burn pot. That's actually here where it says ash clean out. So the bottom part right here, that's the base of the burn pot. And what happens when you slide it out, all the ash falls into this bottom pan right here, and then you can just dump it out, and then you can place it right back in. Now that is so cool because now you don't have to whip out the shop vac. You can literally just pull that out, dump it, and then you just slide this right back in here and it clicks into place. While I was worried at first that I don't have access to the burn pot itself so I can vacuum it out, Pit Boss already thought one step ahead on that. Underneath the burn pot, you do have your watering pan here. And then above that, where it differs is now you have this heat deflector shield thing, but when the grease is falling down, the grease is now, instead of falling into the water pan, which happens with the Pro Series 4, the grease is now hitting this deflector, going towards the back of the smoker, and then emptying out into the grease tray. Because on the Pro Series 4, the frustrating part is, I'm going to pull this out, don't get too gross, this is where your grease lands into your water pan. I mean, come on, man. But on the Brunswick, your water pan is now protected, but that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can actually show you a little bit better just with this back grate off. So yeah, it does have vents in here so you can still allow smoke to come through the bottom. Since it's bolted down here, I'm like, well, how the heck is the smoke actually going to get out? Because on this one, you have your burn pot down here, and there's sides to the burn pot. The smoke comes, it rises from the bottom, and then goes to the top. This rack is going to run a little bit hotter than this rack. Now, your probe is pretty much right back here behind the watering pan, but there is about a 20-degree difference from this rack to this rack. And what I found was interesting is this is completely blocked off. But now, if you look at the sides, these are actually vents that the smoke comes out of. So pretty cool on how they're actually able to take the heat and smoke from here and now kind of evenly disperse it throughout the actual cooking chamber. It's definitely a lot different than how the Pro Series 4 does it. Now let's take a look at these doors. On the Pro Series 4, you basically have a single hinge door, and the latch system pretty much works like this. You hold this part down, you flip that down, and then that basically holds this, door into place. The only issue is this little latch system right here. I mean, you barely touch it and that door pops open. No joke, I've caught my dog sometimes when I'm messing with my smoker. Obviously, if I'm, rubbing the barbecue sauce on and then I'm opening it up, well, if the dogs are licking here, all it takes is a few licks and bam, these bandits broke in. Now contrast that to the double doors. And so pretty much here, just like the single door, you do have these nice gasket linings. You have this nice metal tab. If you look down here, there's basically these latches that, let me see if I can activate the handle, if we can see it here. So when you have that door down, see that thing right there? So when you turn your handle, that little knob helps lock it into place and then lock it in right there. And the second part is right here, that this little thing that pops up locks in to here. Sorry, I'm going in and out of focus here. So what that means is when that's closed, I mean, you could try to, pull on it. That thing, these cabinets are pretty much held into place, and it does take some effort to actually slide it up like that and then to open it up. You do have magnetic tabs into here, so it does click on that plate. So that's pretty cool. But definitely when it comes to a door that is pretty much solid and stays in place, the Brunswick is pretty cool. Compared to the barrel smokers, there's no grease bucket thing that's sticking off the side of these things. On the Pro Series 4, you do have like a grease and ash system in here, but literally I've never emptied this out, and that's pretty much, I mean, you can see some stuff in there, but this thing, it's almost like a joke. Like this thing could pretty much never fill up, because realistically just the burn pot is going to fill up and then you just vacuum it out. You do have a small hole right here, so if grease and dust falls down in there, it in theory can collect it. But since you have the water pan right here and all the grease drops into that, yeah, I've never seen grease go down in there. All right, not that you're going to move these smokers around a lot, but on the Brunswick they did put these monster wheels, and on the Pro Series 4 you do have smaller wheels. Now I've never had a problem pushing around the Pro Series 4, but something also to point out is you basically see this, this little rod right here to help push it around. Look at the size of this rod on the Brunswick here. That's beefy. I mean, that is just definitely, just comparing that rod back here, again, it's aesthetics. But that is something that I noticed when I do roll around the Brunswick. It is actually easier to push this thing around, even though it weighs an extra 100 pounds. Now, both smokers do come with 2 sets of probes, and then the probe ports 1 and 2 are down here, and the probe ports are 1 and 2 in here. But with the Brunswick, you actually do have like this side hole thing that the probe cords can come out of here, and then when you have your door open, you can basically put it in there and close the door. So that's kind of cool. Other than that, that's pretty much all I can think of when it comes to comparing these two. I put in the community tab on YouTube, what's the first thing I should cook? And you guys have been voting on that, and it looks like it's gonna be brisket. So by the end of this week, if it still says brisket, I'm gonna go get us a nice big prime brisket, the biggest one I can find, and we're gonna see how the Brunswick does. That being said, if you did have any other questions comparing these two, do leave a question in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to answer. Other than that, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, and do consider subscribing if you haven't already, because this channel is blowing up. I seriously want to say thank you guys. Just today I noticed we hit 6,000 subscribers, and for this small barbecue channel, dude, that is just awesome news. So awesome. So that being said, thank you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, Grill Sergeant out. Cheers. Hey, and you make sure that bell notification is on, because guess what we just got in the mail? That's right, a tabletop pellet smoker. Look at the size of that thing. We're gonna be checking it out later, all right? Cheers, guys. Peace.